Supreme being, beautiful souls. I have been missing you so much. But we have been taking some time away with Andre, working primarily on ourselves. However, we have been guided lately to speak more about our Kundalini awakening journey and generally about our awakening journey so far, because we have went through some very interesting and exciting transformations the last several months, and we didn't really have a chance to share them all with you, and I think that's what we are going to start to do now. Today I want to share with you, by sharing my experience, what happened to me about Kundalini and the different type of diets. I am sharing this with you, and I feel it's important, guided by the grace of Kundalini, because it's always like this. When you start to have Kundalini awakening within you, you are always guided by her grace, and it's just inevitable. Because our life here, the whole point of coming here is about acceptance and realizing the bigger picture, how we are all interconnected and how all the mechanisms in the universe work, by experiencing these mechanisms within us. But I'm gonna speak about this in a separate video, how actually the universal processes are happening in the same way within ourselves, because we are a universe by itself, and everything that we project ourselves to the outside is actually a projection of our inner world, of our inner universe. But anyways, what type of diet we should follow while on the Kundalini awakening journey? There's many questions about that, and I know because I haven't really read much, neither on the topic of Kundalini, neither about awakening, but I am in a few very nice Facebook groups. I'm gonna share a link to perhaps the best Facebook group about Kundalini awakening help, mutual help, in my opinion. And I see a lot of people, they're sharing, and others who are sending us messages and asking what we should eat within the Kundalini awakening. And the truth is, there's nothing preset within the Kundalini journey. Contrary to what some sources say, that when we start our awakening journey, to increase our vibration, we have to start a vegetarian or vegan diet. Actually, Kundalini, like I said, is all about acceptance, and all about not judging, perceiving everything and realizing everything to the extent of just entering in the vibration of unconditional love. And we have to see that unconditional love actually means accepting everything, and that we are everything ourselves and nothing. And that's what Kundalini will be doing with you your whole journey. She will make you accept everything that you do not accept for one or another reason. She will make you face everything that you fear for one or another reason. She will make you perceive how everything works ultimately, until you fully enter in the vibration of unconditional love, and you fully come out from the vibration of the mind and the vibration of the ego. But this is something that happens very gradually. It's not a process that will happen in a day, with like just a click of a button. No. We are not computers ourselves, even though we are very perfect machines and mechanisms. And that's why Kundalini will actually work layer by layer. She will never give you something that you are not able to take. As hard as it seems, as crazy as it can sound to some of you, because I know that some people are experiencing huge difficulties within the Kundalini awakening. But you have to understand that if you're experiencing this difficulty to such an extent, it means that you are not letting go of something and you are just holding on to it harder and harder. And because of this, the difficulty that you are going through will go deeper and deeper. And this is something that Kundalini will not make a compromise. At the same time, she will never give you something if you're not ready for it. She will never give it to you earlier. And so, at the beginning of our, let's say, proper Kundalini awakening journey, because I cannot really tell when Kundalini has awakened within myself, neither within André, my twin flame. When I go back actually in time, I believe that Kundalini awakened within me from the time he materialized himself on earth, which means I was 11 years old. But I really cannot tell for sure. And that's why I can only judge from the time when we actually realized that Kundalini is working within ourselves. And at the beginning of this journey, I really felt a very strong urge to let go of animal food. And if you have been watching our channel, we have been on a vegan diet for perhaps more than 5 years. And we went on this journey together with André. And I'm very grateful for that, because I'm not sure if I would be able to go through this journey all by myself. We have been very supportive to each other, even though we went through many difficulties. And so, I believe that at the beginning, Kundalini put us through this experience because we had some moment of unacceptance there, something that we could not accept within this diet. That people can be different, that not everybody is the same. And we cannot judge people by anything, even though since a child my parents have been teaching me to be very perceptive and receptive and to live within acceptance and grace. And I never really judged people according to anything, neither race, neither religion, nothing. I have always been accepting people just by their soul, the way they are, and the love within themselves. However, I have really had issues with food since a child, and it's a very vast topic here, so I guess I can speak about it a different time. But I've never been really very slim. I've always been a little bit of a chubby child. And at the beginning, I didn't realize this because, like I told you, my parents never taught me that, people can be different according to their appearances. So I never even paid attention to how people look like from the outside. For me, I could see them only on the inside and the vibration that they were giving out. And that was one of the hardest lessons I learned when I started school, that when children started calling me names because I was chubby. And I started to realize that I am not like everybody else. I'm not like what society is considering people to be. So I don't really fit in the standards. And this totally made me transform my being, and I feel that this is the time when I became more introvert, even though I was already quite introvert since a child. I was super shy since very, very little, and I've always been more comfortable with older people than me. Because I suppose I have been finding more understanding in them. But anyways, perhaps that's the major reason that Kundalini decided to take me through this experience of accepting everything within me regarding food. Because this experience later on made me start to search for ways to lose weight, to be more healthy, and I've been on this path for a very long moment, so it didn't really start from the time I became vegan. I've always been trying to eat healthy and avoiding certain things and being more into greens and fruits and stuff like this. And so with the vegan diet, Kundalini actually took me to the extreme of this journey. That's how I feel. And it made me perceive that there is another boat there, another part of the boat that I never really experienced. I never even thought that it exists. And it gave me a totally different perspective of things. However, with time, this kind of journey, sometimes it can make you a little bit more judgmental, because we live in a world which is not that fit for people who live only on a plant-based diet, even though there have been many improvements done within the last several years all over the world. But still, I can tell you that until the end we have been experiencing difficulties with that, which means that the world generally hasn't made space for accepting fully this side of the world. And by letting us experience this, Kundalini actually made us very much open and receptive and more compassionate, let's say, to this type of people, to this type of experiences. Because I don't take anything as bad or good. To me, everything is just experience. It's been like this for a very long moment. And by, to fully understand something, you really have to experience it. There's almost no other way to fully enter into a certain vibration if you don't experience it by yourself. Even to go beyond the fear, you actually have to go and face the fear, tête-à-tête, like they say in the French, face to face. Otherwise, you will think that you have overcome it, but I don't think it really works this way, because you didn't experience it. Just like if you never touched something hot, you can only suggest how hot feels, but you don't really know for sure until you actually touch something hot and you experience it for yourself. This is what happens to children, for example, when they're very, very, very young. We tell them, don't touch the air, it's hot, or it's dangerous, whatever. For them, this doesn't mean anything. And so we have to treat ourselves as children. We have to think of ourselves as children. And this is what Kundalini does to us, because she is like our mom. So she lets us experience, she lets us burn ourselves so that we can feel the difference. And at the end of this vegan journey, the end of it was sometime about this time last year, let's say. But we truly, fully ended it at the end of the summer. And actually, I was the reason that we ended it completely. And the reason for that was Kundalini. So I have been feeling for a few weeks that I really had a very strong craving of turkey breasts. But I was being put in distress within my own inner world of, no, you're not able to eat turkey breasts. Hello, you are vegan and you cannot even think about eating animal food. Forget about it. So it was like two inner voices within me speaking to each other. But it was becoming so strong that I almost couldn't handle it anymore. And one day I just shared with André. And I knew that he would not judge me or anything. But he was so calm and so peaceful when I told him. And he said, "What are you waiting for? You should not torture yourself in such a way. Go ahead and eat a couple of pieces. Nothing is gonna happen to you. Like, it's not gonna come the end of the world." And when he came in such a beautiful way to me, I was like, okay, maybe I really have to try. And we'll just see what happens from there on. And so we went. We bought, I think it was like 4 pieces of turkey breast, you know, these slices which you use for sandwiches. We came back and it was a lovely summer evening, very warm, and I just put a song on YouTube. And usually I don't even have the autoplay function on, but I don't even know what happened at that time. It just switched on by itself and the music kept on going and going and going. And I kept on dancing. I was barefoot. I was dancing. And I ate 2 slices of the turkey breast. I would say that was one of the most exciting experiences ever in my life. After not eating animal food for such a long moment, I could feel the nutrients. I could actually visually see them, because I have this ability to visually see energy. I'm more on the visual side. I could actually visually see how the particles of the nutrients are going around certain parts of my body, and it really felt like they're fixing something. And it was primarily on my head and on my ovaries, and it was so beautiful. I really cannot describe the beauty of this experience. While I was dancing and while these nutrients were fixing whatever they were fixing within my head, Kundalini just very gently came out of my crown chakra. And it almost felt like the same movements like I was doing with my body. That's how she was moving out of my head. And later on, I realized that Kundalini, she cannot come out of the crown. She cannot really explode on her journey if you're not very well grounded. And I will tell you that we have been grounding ourselves quite well, especially here in the garden. We are planting things with my parents and we are barefooting all the time. So I really cannot tell that we were not grounded. And even though apparently it was not enough, I really had to eat a piece of meat to fully ground myself. Plus, what André suggests is that because turkey meat is very rich in tryptophan, and that's very essential for your upper glands to function properly. And I guess I really needed some nutrient there that helped the journey of the Kundalini to continue. Otherwise, I was feeling her in my head, in my crown for quite a while, and it was almost disturbing me because I felt like she's stuck and she cannot break through. But eventually, it just happened. And the same night, I actually had the most amazing out-of-body experience with Kundalini herself. She came in front of me, and she is the brightest and most beautiful light I have ever seen. I could feel her strength, her power, and it was really amazing. I never had such an astral before that. I never had such an out-of-body experience. So powerful and so full of meaning. But I'm gonna tell you about this specific experience in another video, because this is becoming a little bit too long and I don't want to keep you longer than that. But I just wanted to say that whatever you feel your diet has to be right at a certain moment, just go for it. Don't go by certain specific preset rules by someone sometime ever, because it doesn't matter. This is your own personal experience. What they wrote about was their own experience, but it doesn't matter that their own experience will be the same like yours. You are different. We are all different, even though we are all the same. And this is what we are here to understand and accept. And this is what Kundalini will ultimately make us accept. And if we cannot accept it, she will give us even a harder lesson until we do. And that's why it refers not just to food, it refers to the practices. Like, so many people are asking, what shall I do? Like, shall I do Kundalini yoga, mudras, or whatever? It doesn't matter. Do whatever you feel from the inside. Me personally, I did Kundalini yoga and it helped me a lot at the beginning. Now I'm not, because I don't feel that I need it at this stage. But I had different times I was doing sometimes yoga, sometimes Kundalini yoga. I've done some sports at certain time. Like you see, I did different types of diets. I was experimenting and experiencing. And it was all according to the flow from my inner grace coming from Kundalini and the intuition, because that's how she communicates with you, just like the higher self. The strongest language they communicate with, this is your own intuition, and they are your own and only inner teachers and gurus. And that's why Each one of you will need different things, and you will need different foods. It all depends on what you have been experiencing on earth so far, and what are your experiences from previous lifetimes. It's a very complex process, and that's why it is so individual and unique. I love you all very much. Like I said, we are back, and we'll be up with lots of new videos and lots of things to share with you. And I wish you a very beautiful and lovely day. See you next time.